Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to be giving you a full tutorial on how to make money on Betr Picks, which is Jake Paul's fantasy sports app. So Betr is kind of a competitor. It's very similar to PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, Dabble Fantasy. I use all of these different fantasy sites. I'm a big believer. The more books you use, the better. You know, we never know which book is going to have the best value on a given day. So ideally, you use as many as possible. You know, I've used probably 100 sports books since I started taking my sports betting really seriously. But anyways, Betr Picks is a book I've made like lifetime. I've made about $70,000 on. Most of my success came in the boosted picks. So you can see here, I hit a few boosted picks. I gave all these plays out 100% for free on social media. So a lot of people tailed. You know, in one day on Betr, I made tens of thousands of dollars and I gave out the play for free. So probably took over $1 million from Betr on that day. Jake Paul actually made a video about it and gave me a shout out, which I guess was pretty cool.
See that someone hit for 60,000 last night on Betr because of the new baseball promotion?
Oh, I saw, and I'm firing whoever did that promo, like actually. Oh. Like it's not a joke, but congrats to Alex, the winner, I guess.
But anyways, the purpose of this video is to break down everything you need to know about Betr to become profitable and make money. There's definitely some cynical people who will be like, oh, if you're so profitable on Betr, why are you sharing your tips? Or why, you know, why isn't your graph, why haven't you made $100,000 at this point? And honestly, like at this point on Betr, I'm limited. It kind of sucks, but after my first big winning day where I made, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, they cut down my max bet size. Where I could only bet $1,000 per day. Then I won another big slip with Matt Wallner, and they cut me down to only being able to bet $100 per day. So Betr is still a DFS app I use, but obviously I don't play as much on it anymore because they've cut down my betting limits, and that sucks, but you know, that's just kind of how it is as a sharp, profitable bettor. So anyways, things have changed on Betr, right? Like when I used to play these boosted slips and I could bet as much money as I wanted, there was only one type of boosted pick. Now, if you look on Betr, there's regular squares, there's all these different colors, right? Like there's blue, there's yellow, there's one yellow bar, there's 3 yellow bars. So the math of how to beat Betr has changed a little bit. And I'm going to cover all of that in this video, a full tutorial, how Betr boosted picks work, what the math behind them is, all the different, you know, colors and boosted pick options they have at this point, as well as just kind of explaining, you know, if I still was able to bet as much as I wanted to on Betr, what is the strategy that you can use to guaranteed make a profit and win long term? So without further ado, let's get into Betr Picks and the strategy to make a ton of money on this book. You will probably get limited if you make a ton of money. If you make $50,000, $100,000, there's a pretty good chance they're going to cut down your max betting limit, which obviously sucks, but it, you know, again, it kind of is what it is. So let's get into Betr. So I'm going to start out by going through regular picks on Betr. In other words, there's no colors, not the boosted picks. How does Betr work in general? And just like PrizePicks, you know, just like Dabble, Underdog Fantasy, Betr is a fixed payout DFS platform. So basically, any 2-pick entry that you make on Betr, you're going to see that you're getting a 3x payout, right? So if I take TJ McConnell and Alexander Walker, I could take TJ McConnell's over or his under, it doesn't matter. Any 2-pick entry, you're getting a 3x payout. So that's different from sportsbooks, right? Like if you think about FanDuel gives you different prices depending on if you take a player over or under. For example, if you take Edwards under 38.5 PRAs, points plus rebounds plus assists, you're getting worse odds. You're getting minus 125 on the under compared to minus 108 on the over. So there's different prices. That's not the same on Betr. Fixed payouts for regular picks. So basically the strategy for beating Betr, I'm a super data-driven sports bettor. I don't just wake up and, bet on random things with my gut. Everything is about the data for me personally. The strategy for beating Betr is you want to compare their lines to sportsbooks. So for example, and again, we just discussed 2-pick entries. I usually don't run 2-pick entries on Betr, which we're going to get into. But the way that Betr works is we take, in this example, this hockey player, if we take him to get a point or to not get a point, over or under, we're going to get the same payout. So Betr is essentially giving you the same odds, the same price on both his over and his under, right? You take him to go over, you take him to go under. In this scenario, I ran a 5-pick entry. So if I took hints to go over or under, I'm getting a 20x payout regardless. But if you look at every sports book, all these sports books, they're data points, right? These are companies like FanDuel, DraftKings, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations. They're experts in setting lines, and you're gonna see every single sports book from FanDuel, who has his over as a -156 favorite, to BetOnline. BetOnline is known to be a pretty sharp book. They have his over as a -153 favorite. Pinnacle is known to be another book that's known to be pretty sharp, have accurate lines. Every single book, every single data point, they all have hints over heavily favored. That's why I took the over in my slip. So I'm comparing the lines on Betr to sports books, right? These multi-billion-dollar companies that are experts in setting lines. Everything is priced into the market. The odds these books are putting out, lineups, injuries, historical performance, all of that is priced into the odds on sportsbooks, and every single data point in this example has hints over heavily favored. So that's the sharp pick I included in my Betr slip. So that's kind of basic Betr strategy. For non-boosted picks, that's kind of how you find picks with an edge on Betr. And what I wanted to kind of explain is, why did I run a 5-pick entry? Right, on Betr, there's a bunch of different slip types. 2-pick entries have a 3x payout. 4-pick entries, have a 10x payout. 5-pick entries, 20x. Why are 5-pick entries what I usually decide to go with? And that's because it's actually really important. They're the optimal slip on Betr. That's the mathematically optimal slip on Betr. You never want to run on Betr a 3-pick entry. 3-pick entries are the worst type of slip. They give you a 5x payout for 3-pick entries, so you're putting down 100 to win 500. But all the other DFS sites, or not all of them, but some of the other DFS sites like Underdog and Dabble, for 3-pick entries, they give you a 6x payout. So Betr is kind of a ripoff for 3-pick entries. It's actually super unprofitable to play 3-mans. That's the worst type of slip on Betr, which we'll kind of get into. So we're gonna go through Betr again. For now, I'm gonna ignore these weird boosted picks, like here you can see blue and yellow and whatever. We're gonna ignore these for now and just kind of focused on regular picks on Betr. So for example, anything that doesn't have a color, like here you can see, I'm probably gonna mispronounce these names. Ogwinalbi, over 3.5 rebounds. That's what we're gonna focus on. Any 2-pick entry has a 3x payout. Again, I can switch her to an under. It doesn't matter, I'm getting a 3x payout. Any 2-pick entry has a 3x payout. So here, I have my little spreadsheet. So this is a 2-pick entry. We're getting a 3x payout. And a 3x payout means you're putting down 100, you're betting 100 to win 300 total, but that's only 200 in profit. So this is the same as plus 200 odds on a sports book. You're betting 100 to win 200 in profit, $300 total once you include your stake. So basically what I can do is go through what percentage of my picks do I have to win to break even. In the case of 2-pick entries, it's 57.7%. So basically what this means is on Betr, if you can win your individual picks. So for example, if I can pick Aguinaldo. Man, I'm probably really messing up that pronunciation, so I apologize. But if I can win my over-unders like Aguinaldo over or under 3.5 rebounds, if I can win my picks above 57.7% of the time, I'm going to be profitable. If I can only win my picks, let's say 54% of the time, I'm going to be unprofitable. And I want to be clear, it's not easy to win your picks on Betr 57% of the time, right? That means you're winning 57% of your over-unders, like this rebound prop. You're only losing 43%, so you have a real edge. So basically, if I can win my picks on Betr, let's say 60% of the time, I'm winning my over-unders, just like this player prop, 60% of the time, only losing 40% of my plays, my ROI is going to be 8, right? 8%. Over the course of the long run, if I can win my player props 60% of the time, I'm going to win my 2-pick entry 36% of the time, which is just, 60% times 60%. So 36% of the time, I'm going to win $200. The other 64% of the time, I'm going to lose $100, which is my stake, assuming I decide to, put $100 on this. So if I can win my picks 60% of the time, I'll have an 8% ROI. If I can only win my picks below 57.7% of the time, let's say 54.5% of the time, even though that's pretty good, right? If you're winning your picks, let's say 55% of the time, you have an edge, right? You're winning 55% of your bets over unders. You're only losing 45%. You have a real edge, but you are still going to be unprofitable on Betr. So this is referred to 57.7%. This is roughly, right, where you break even on Betr. So, we could add in another couple numbers, whatever. So if we want to make it exact to figure out how it's zero, but something like 57.7%, which, don't get me wrong, that's hard to do. Okay, so for 2-pick entries, you got to win your picks 57.7% of the time to break even. So what about for 3 picks? For 3 picks, right? So long story short, if I can win my picks 58% of the time, I'm going to have a small profit, right? Playing 2-pick entries, roughly a 1% ROI. However, for 3-pick power plays, where I'm getting a 5x payout, so if I just throw in another pick, so now you can see I have a 3-man on Betr, I'm getting a 5x payout, which is the same as plus 400 odds. For 3-pick entries, your break-even win rate is 58.49%. So if I can only win my picks, let's say 58% of the time, which would have made me profitable playing 2-mans, for 3-mans, I'm unprofitable. So long story short, 3-pick entries are worse than 2-pick entries. And I have this for 4-pick power plays, whatever. But essentially for 3-pick entries where you're getting a 5x payout, which again isn't very good considering Underdog Fantasy, Dabble, they give you a 6x payout. That's kind of your first indication that 3-mans on Betr probably aren't very good. But you have a higher break-even win percentage. So, long story short, what's optimal on Betr is 5-pick entries with a 20x payout. So, for Betr, for 5-pick entries, you have to win your picks 54.9% of the time to break even. So, let's say I can win my picks 57% of the time. My ROI playing 5-pick entries on Betr, if I can win these over-unders, so if I just go back here, if I can win these over-unders 57% of the time, long-term on Betr, I'm going to have a 20.33% ROI. Again, I'll include this sheet in the description. You can play around with it, kind of look at the math. So if I can win my picks on 5-pick entries, right? If I can win my over-unders, it's the same win rate. If I can win these over-unders 57% of the time, I'm going to be really profitable playing 5-mans long-term because I only have to win, 54.9%. Whereas if you can only win your picks, if you're winning your picks 57% of the time, which is pretty good, you're winning 57, losing 43%, you're going to get killed on 3-pick entries, but you're going to be really profitable playing 5-pick entries, right? Again, 57% would mean your ROI for 5-pick entries is 20.33%. So that's why for regular slips, again, this assumes I'm not playing any boosted picks. This is just for these regular picks. So if I go here, if I can win these over-unders, let's say we want to take, SGA's under. If I can win these over-unders above 54.9% of the time, which again isn't easy, you need a real edge, right? You're trying to win your picks like 57% of the time. Your over-unders only losing 43%, which isn't easy. You need a real edge. Then you're going to be profitable. This is the break-even win rate. So the reason 5-pick entries are best is you have the lowest break-even win rate. And again, on Betr, they're setting these lines like Naneka over under 17.5 points. They're setting these lines to be roughly 50-50, where you have a 50% chance of winning, 50% chance of losing. So most sports bettors will win only 50% of their picks on Betr, and they will get absolutely killed on any type of slip because they don't have an edge. It's like flipping a coin. You're 50% to be right, picking all these over-unders, 50% to be wrong. That's most sports bettors. You don't have an edge. You're going to win 50%, lose 50% of your picks, and get killed long term. So 5-pick entries on Betr are mathematically optimal. So here you can see the OddsJam positive EV tool. So it's recommending Anthony Edwards under 3.5 made threes. So if you look at every major sportsbook like FanDuel, even if you don't personally use FanDuel, it's a data point, a source of information. And you're going to see they have Ants under heavily favored minus 146. This is a multi-billion-dollar company, so you want to put some weight into their odds. But what I wanted to mention is we know 5-pick entries are optimal. If you're running regular picks, you want to be playing 5-mans on Betr. 5-pick entries, 20x payout. That's the best type of slip. Why does it say minus 121 odds, right? Why minus 121? Is again, on Betr, so what we can actually do is we can go to the Timberwolves game. Is on Betr, any pick you run in a 5-pick entry, you're getting the same price, right? You take an over, you take an under, you're getting the same price regardless. So if I go to player points, what you're going to notice is every player is minus 121, minus 121. So Anthony Edwards points, his over is the same price as the under. Any 5, so you'll see Betr, over, under, minus 121. They're giving us the same price if we take the over, the under. But what's up with the minus 121? Is again, on Betr, for these 5-pick entries, if I just reopen my phone, these 5-pick entries have a 20x payout. So essentially, any 5-pick entry has a 20x payout. So the sportsbooks, right? If you create a 5-leg parlay on a sports book where every leg is minus 121, you're going to get roughly, not exactly, roughly a 20x payout, which is the same as plus 1900 odds. It's actually more like minus 121.4, I believe. So if I put in, every leg minus 121.4, I'm getting plus 1900 odds approximately, which is a 20x payout. So basically on Betr for a 5-pick entry, every single play is minus 121 odds. It doesn't matter WNBA, MLB, NHL, whatever. Any 5-pick entry, you're getting a 20x payout, which is the same as building, a 5-leg parlay on a sports book where every leg is minus 121. So Betr is essentially just charging you minus 121 juice on both the over and the under for any line they have listed. So in this case, we definitely wouldn't want to include Jaden McDaniels in our slip over under 12.5 points. You can see FanDuel, they're giving you better prices on both Jaden McDaniels' over and his under. So if I wanted to play Jaden McDaniels to go under, why would I take minus 121 on Betr if I could just go to FanDuel and get minus 110? That makes no sense. You're getting worse prices, you're getting worse odds. So again, you can see right here, minus 110 on FanDuel. So you definitely don't want to include Jaden McDaniels under 12.5 points in your slip on Betr, because even for the best type of slip, 5-pick entries, you're essentially getting minus 121 juice when other books have this under at minus 110. So you definitely don't want to do that. So I'm about to get into Betr boosted picks, the math behind them, but basically for 5-pick entries, if I'm running a regular slip on Betr, I just use the OddsJam positive EV tool. We're getting essentially on Betr minus 121 odds on any player. So in this play on hints, every other sportsbook, the sharp books like Pinnacle, Bet Online, FanDuel, they have his over heavily favored around minus 160. So this play is winning above 55% of the time. We're just using market data, the odds on sportsbooks to, back out this information. All these books have his over heavily favored. So this is a sharp, profitable pick on Betr. Find 4 more of those, run a 5-pick entry. But now let's get into these boosted picks. So again, boosted picks have changed a bit. Like, it used to be there was only one type of boosted play. So you can see in this example, I paired 2 boosted picks together, Judge and Ohtani on my huge winning day. I was getting a 10x payout, which is essentially plus 900 odds. You're betting 100 to win 1,000, 900 in profit. So that's just plus 900 odds. And what that essentially means is if you just use a parlay calculator, for these Betr boosted picks, you're getting plus 217 odds. Any play that's a boosted pick, you're getting plus 217 odds when you kind of work out the math, right? 2 boosted picks paired together is a 10x payout. That's the same as, essentially these boosted picks being plus 217 odds. So on this day that I played this and gave this out on Twitter, you can see Ohtani and Judge were both like plus 175 to hit a home run. So here's DraftKings. DraftKings had Ohtani plus 185, Judge plus 170. Again, on Betr, we're getting a 10x payout, so plus 217 odds on each individual pick, a 10x payout total, plus 900 odds. DraftKings is only giving us plus 669. So long story short, these 2 picks, just going through the math behind these boosted plays, these 2 picks, Ohtani and Judge paired together, were plus EV bets, really profitable bets, and that's why I ran it. But again, Betr has changed a bit, where now there's all sorts of different boosted picks, blue, yellow, 1 bar, 2 bars. So it's a little more complicated. So I'm going to break down the math behind Betr's current boosted picks, what the implied odds are, stuff like that in the rest of this video. So Betr recently made their app more complicated because there's all these different types of boosted picks, 3 yellow bars, 2 yellow, 1 yellow bar. So it's a little more confusing, but you can still work out the math of what odds is Betr giving us on these plays. So for example, if you run 2 regular picks, so here you can see I have 2 regular picks, TJ McConnell, Alexander Walker, you can take their over or under, and then I added a full boosted play on Betr, Enrique to score a goal. This comes out to a 20x payout, plus 1900 odds. So I know on Betr, in the best case scenario, a 5-pick entry, these legs, the regular squares are minus 121 odds. So what I can do is I can back out what is the odds on a full yellow boosted pick, and it's plus 500. So essentially any 3 yellow full boosted pick, whatever you want to call it, you're getting plus 500 odds. That's what you should assume on Betr. So in this case, Enrique, these boosted picks, I'm not going to lie, they're hard to make money on. So in this case, Enrique to score a goal on Betr, this is a boosted pick. I'm essentially getting plus 500 odds. That's not even good. You don't want to play it. So if you look at FanDuel Sportsbook, again, sports betting is about finding value, getting an edge. They're offering Enrique to score a goal at plus 550. So they're giving you better odds than the implied price you're getting on Betr. So you wouldn't want to play this. Again, boosted picks, if you're just starting out on Betr, these are the hardest things to make money on. I recommend starting with regular plays, no blue, no yellow, just play the regular plays, 5-pick entries, track your bets, use the OddsJam positive EV tool, and you're going to make money long term. But here, essentially, I went through, I worked out the math of all the different boosted options: blue, 1 blue, 2 blue, 1 yellow, 2 yellow, 3 yellow. Here's essentially what it turns out as. So if you include 1 blue, like I think these are called anchors on Betr, essentially you're getting minus 500 odds, which is really bad. That's a lot of juice. So maybe there's some value in these blue plays, but honestly, I've looked at tons. I've never seen a profitable blue play. Yellow, occasionally, I've seen some value on 3 yellow with a player to hit a home run. But again, boosted picks in general, since Betr changed having all these different types of boosted picks, it's really hard to make money on these boosted picks, at least in my opinion. But anyways, in this video, we went through kind of everything that I believe you need to know about profitable betting strategy on Betr Picks, this DFS app. If you have questions, comment them below, and thanks so much for your time.